Testing. 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you guys can hear me loud and clear. I think I need to close my door. It's too much natural light. We're doing this again with the lighting. I don't know. What is going on with my visuals? Give me a second. Hmm. Okay, I think this is better. Yeah, this is much better. Hi, everybody. Thank you for your time and information. Yes, thank you, Flashpoint. All right. So, guys, please like the video, share this video, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell button to get all notifications and get in that chat and start chatting away, honey. Whether you upset, whether you agree, disagree, it doesn't matter. And make sure you comment below as well and share, share, share. Thank you, Darnell. You like the intro? Thank you. Yes. Oh, honey, my grades are coming in. It is time. It is time to get the color. Yes, it is. It is time to get the color. So we gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about Roly Poly, fat ass, thinking that he is the gatekeeper of black media. And he ain't. We gotta talk about Jasmine Crockett telling all Democrats vote no this week to keep the government shut down. We got to talk about Stephen A. Smith going in on Jasmine Crockett because she took her ass up to the shade room with his name all in her mouth. Yeah, honey, we got to talk about the petty black media, the black media BS. Roland Martin getting at Charlamagne telling, making Roland Martin donkey of the day. Yes, we're gonna get into all that. And Trump said if it wasn't for H-1B students, HBCUs will be going out of business. The fuck? I'm going to touch on that today. And then I'm going to do another 30-minute video breaking down he's a whole lie. Yes. So where am I going to get started, honey? Where am I going to get started? Where am I going to get started at? You know what? I'll get started here with the HB1. Or should I get started with the roly poly? I'm going to get started with roly poly. Let me share. Let's do this. Because that's the main attraction right now. Okay. So it all started last week. Roland Martin, this is a clip, it's a minute, saying that Charlamagne is stupid. He don't know what he's talking about, and he needs to keep his mouth shut.
I have the audio, and let me be real clear. If you're a Democrat, that was just bullshit.
So he's saying don't listen to Charlamagne. So here's the thing. Charlamagne is not a scholar. He's not even an intellect. He's good at what he does. You know, he is a morning show host for a hip hop station. But a lot of politicians, celebrities, you know, authors or what have you, come on the Breakfast Club to promote whatever, to talk about whatever, right? But lately they have been talking about politics a lot. And why not? But what Charlamagne and the rest of the Breakfast Club, what they do, they bring on people who are experts in said field, whatever discussion may be. So it's not, and look, he is entitled to his perspective, to how he feels, to what he thinks and his opinion. And I don't disagree with what he was saying, because I'm saying open up the government. Affordable Care Act is a mess. Healthcare system in America is a mess. But if premiums are already set for next year already, why not just open up the government? But he brought on a woman who concurred and went into details why. So why is Roland Martin saying don't listen to him? He don't know what he's talking about. So then, and then what made it so bad, Roland Martin put idiotic on his YouTube video, calling Charlamagne an idiot. So then Charlamagne responds, yeah, it is an insurance scam and people shouldn't have to deal with it. But now Charlamagne responds, calling Roland Martin donkey of the day. So this is Charlamagne's response to Roland Martin.
Not to mention people not getting the SNAP benefits. So how is what I said some BS? How is that misinformation? But to say it's some BS and label it as misinformation, that's just a lie. If Roland knows this, but he would rather sell y'all false hope instead of telling you the truth.
Right there real quick. Because listen, I normally don't listen to the Breakfast Club, but there's some things I don't agree with what they say. But again, I'm taking a side of Charlamagne. I'm taking a shot of Charlamagne, and he's right. And so are you, Shonda. Premiums go up every year, period, point blank. They do. They go up every year, but it is an influx. And then Trump did say, instead of sending the subsidiary credit, the premium credits to the insurance company, I want to send it directly to the American people. Why not? What is wrong with that? But here's the thing. I'm going to finish playing this clip because what he exposes about Roland Martin, right? And Roland Martin being very deviant and always want to preach just pro-black, but then behind people's backs, you talking shit about them.
Okay.
And honestly, listen, that was a fire response. Now, Roland Martin came back, oh my God. So here's the thing about roly-poly ass. Like I said, I 100 agree with Charlamagne. I 100% agree with Charlamagne. Because Roland Martin, he comes back with his response, sets the record straight. He doesn't chase appearances. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But here's the problem with Roland Martin. The misinformation weapon. See, that is how they try to silence violent criticism. Roland Martin called Charlamagne's government shutdown commentary misinformation, when it was actually fact-based analysts, and he had a professional up there to go into actual factual details. This is their go-to move. When they can't debate the substance, they attack the messenger's credibility. They weaponize terms like misinformation and disinformation to shut down any Black voice that doesn't follow their approved narrative. Key quote: what did I say that was misinformation? Right? So he's challenging Roland Martin to answer that. But Roland goes over the question. So because he's responding with, oh, guest appearances. Oh, this is how politics work. No. Why don't you debate him with the so-called misinformation that you're saying that he's spitting out, that he's talking? People like Roland Martin and this Black boule Democrat plantation dick riders, they're gatekeepers. Old guard versus independent voices such as myself, right? Roland Martin represents old media establishment that feels threatened by platforms like the Breakfast Club. Behind the scenes, hating while publicly requesting to come on his show, they're desperate for relevance. Roland Martin is desperate for relevance, which is why he always has FBA, Tariq Nasheed taking jabs at the younger generation. They want to control who gets to speak on political issues in Black media, because it's pretty damn funny. It's not a lot of Black media. And then if the Black media that it is, majority of it is about hip hop and celebrity stuff, gossip. So it's not a lot of Black media that really talk about politics and hard-hitting topics. Roland Martin is probably maybe one or two, outside of independent voices such as. Oh shit, was I muted the whole time? I hope not. Hold on. I was. Is that being? Let me go back a little bit. Okay, no, it was just for that minute. Okay, cool. So testing. Yeah, you guys can hear me. So where did I leave off at? Yes, audio check. Where did I leave off at, honey? I was on a roll. Honey, I was on a roll. Do y'all remember? Can you tell me? Because I'm like, talk. Just a few seconds. Oh, okay, just a few seconds. Okay, good. So let me back up a little bit because I have my notes right here. Roland Martin represents old media establishment that feels threatened by platforms like The Breakfast Club. Behind the scenes, hating while publicly requesting to come on a Breakfast Club shows that he's desperate to be relevant, which is true, which is why he always has Tariq Nasheed, hashtag FBA, hashtag ADOS. He's an idiot. She's an idiot, which is why he blocked me and a whole bunch of other people on X because he wants to be the only one. He thinks he knows everything about everything, especially when it comes to politics, and he doesn't. He knows what the Democrat agenda wants to push, and that is his job. That is why he's getting paid. That is why he gets sponsors. That is why he gets advertisement. Now, he knows how to be a journalist. He does have his own media production company, and so I give him credit to that. He knows what he's doing, but his message, his alliance is with a political party that has done nothing for Black America for the last 60 years. Well, 50 years. So Charlamagne revealed Roland Martin be hating behind the scenes. Now, this is Roland Martin responding to that.
Oh, he begs to come on the Breakfast Club, which is not true. Sent 2 texts this year, one last year, one 2023. And when I go to New York, I actually text about 10 people, 10 shows. So it could be the Breakfast Club, it could be Ebro, it could be Sway, it could be John, Future Gang, it could be people at SiriusXM. So let's just be real clear, y'all. I do media all over. I don't beg anybody's show to come on. I was on Ricky Smiley's show and Dee Dee's show last week. So ain't no begging. I literally tell people, hey, I'm coming to town. So there you go. Just like people do the same thing to me. So as I was sitting here watching people say what should happen and y'all should do this and that, I actually thought about this very issue of when I went on the Breakfast Club 3 years ago. Listen. Look, I got Republicans who don't want to come on my show because I don't let them lie. And so and that's why I.
No, you don't want Republicans coming on your show to push back against your bullshit. You don't let them lie. Who are you? Again, who are you to tell someone they're lying because they disagree with your politics?
I get upset when I watch a lot of these shows and folks lie. So, for instance, when sorry-ass Bill Maher allowed that woman the other day to lie on Kamala Harris, and then he didn't correct her when she talked about, sent all these men and women to prison for weed.
Breakfast Club,
Breakfast Club. And then Bill Maher sitting there with his pothead self, don't say a word. I don't let folk lie, because when someone lies, if they're listening to this show and a lie is told and you say nothing, for me, the public goes, well, Angela and Envy and Charlamagne didn't say nothing, so what they said must have been true.
No, because Van Jones was on the panel. He didn't say nothing.
Yeah, so again,
20.
Roland is on some BS, out of touch elites versus real people such as myself and others. These grifters can afford to play political games while real people suffer. When you look at Sonny Austin, Roland Martins, Jasmine Crockett, and all the politicians, they are well off. So this shutdown is not affecting them. The shutdown is affecting federal workers, a lot of people who are furloughed, people who receive SNAP. So people who rely on Medicaid, who rely on, who rely on things in that bill that's going to help their lives be better. Right? It's going to affect normal, real people, real Americans, not these assholes with a microphone and a large audience making millions of dollars annually. And it's not going to affect these politicians, because the politicians, they voted not to give up their paychecks during the shutdown. Politicians are the only government officials that are getting paid, while everybody else that work for the federal government does not. They're all crooks. So Roland Martin can say that so nonchalantly about the shutdown because he's not potentially facing eviction, which is true. That's what Charlamagne said. They prioritize political theater over immediate relief for struggling families. Contrast their comfortable lifestyles with people losing SNAP, federal workers missing paychecks, family facing evictions. So, give me a second. Oh, yeah. So again, here we have this black boule who acts like the gatekeeper for black media and for black people. You know, when we talk about these political topics, if you disagree with him, if you disagree with the Democrats, then you're stupid, then you're an idiot, then you're misinformed. You're spitting out disinformation. And that is the problem that I have with individuals like him and his platform. And we do need more black independent media voices that's going to push back against the standard narrative, whether it's Republican or Democrat or whatever. Black people are not a monolith. We are not. Roland Martin does not speak for Black America. He has his opinions. So, what else was I going to bring up? Stephen A. Smith. Let me bring up Stephen A. Smith, because he too.
But I can take it.
Stephen A. Smith is having a problem as well. Roland Martin came for Stephen A. because Stephen A. criticized Jasmine Crockett. Who told Jasmine Crockett she is untouchable? If you are a politician, if you are a celebrity, you get talked about. If you are a media personality, you get talked about. But politicians are fair game, man or woman, black, white. It does not matter. It doesn't matter your race, your gender, your religion. Doesn't matter. You are a politician. We, the voters, have a right to criticize you. Last time I checked, Stephen A. Smith was an American citizen and a voter. He has a right to criticize Jasmine Crockett and her behavior. And that was a whole thing, right? They really dragged Stephen A. Smith, calling for him to be canceled. And that is another thing with these gatekeeping ass black media boule people. They try to cancel another black media personality person if that person criticizes a black politician, such as a Jasmine Crockett. So Stephen A. took the time yesterday to address all of his haters, which just so happened to be black women and one white woman. And he brought up Jasmine Crockett.
But I want to get into a bigger subject because you brought up Kamala Harris. You brought up Michelle Obama. And of course, you brought up Jasmine Crockett, Representative Jasmine Crockett out of Texas. And here's probably why you brought up Jasmine Crockett. Play cut one of Jasmine Crockett being at the Shade Room, please. Play that, Griff.
When I first heard the comments, I was disappointed. I'm going to be perfectly honest. And I've never met Stephen A. We've never had a conversation a day in our lives. I was disappointed simply because it was a black man. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Like, in the work that I do, I anticipate that there's tons of racists or just tons of people that are on the other side from me that will be critical and not focus on the substance of what it is that I'm doing, not focus on the legislation, not focus on the money that I bring in, not focus on the programs that I run out of my district, not focus on how I am very much in tune with keeping my district informed of what's going on in the government, like the meat and potatoes. Like, I get that they will ignore all that stuff. But in a time in which Black women specifically are under attack, and we all know what Malcolm X said about the Black woman,
No, Miss Thing, we don't know. And I'm really tired of Black women and some Black men using Malcolm X quote. He said that quote in the 60s. This is 2025. This is a different environment in society today. So it's different today. Today's Black communities, Black environment, society, American society is totally different from the 1960s. Leave these people who have passed on, who have sacrificed their life for Black Americans. That man sacrificed his life. He put his life on the line for Black Americans. Bitch, you could never live up to that. So how dare you and others even speak of a Malcolm X?
Felt a way that there was a Black man who decided not to do any research and decided to more so comment on my stylistic approach, which I'm good with people disagreeing or whatever, but to use your platform in order to not only come for me, but consistently kind of have a track record of coming for Black women, I was just very disappointed in him. Like, that was just really disappointing from like a cultural standpoint. As it relates to his apology, I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna tell you that like I haven't paid attention whatsoever. I do feel like whatever took place was more so in response to the backlash. And so, you know, it's kind of like, all right, so if you hadn't gotten smoke, like, would you have done it? And I just got to say that I appreciate and love the people, because people that follow me pay attention and they know the things that I'm doing. They understand why I am pushing back on Trump. They understand that Trump is the big threat, not how I talk, but what he's doing, the things that are literally taking people's food out of their mouths, taking their jobs away from them, taking access to education away from them, taking access to capital, whether it's to buy a home or to start your business. Like, they understand that I'm not really the threat as a sitting House member. He is. And so I appreciate that people like spoke out, and I didn't really need to say anything.
You know, I will say this.
So hold on for a second. So Charles says, why you call that girl a B? Because she is. She is. All those politicians are bitches, Republicans and Democrats. You think I give a damn about a politician? They don't give a shit about us. First of all, I don't trust them. They don't do shit in Congress. They don't do anything. Our Congress, they don't do anything but play theater. 47 days in counting. It's about to be 50 days for a shutdown. It's about to be 2 months. Airlines are grounded. People who bought their tickets to fly on Thanksgiving holiday, that's Thanksgiving weekend holiday is the biggest traveling weekend in the United States. Planes shut down because air traffic controllers are furloughed. They're not getting paid, and the ones that are there working are overworked. Fuck them. And I mean that. Every single politician, including Jasmine Crockett. I don't give a damn if she's Black or if she's a woman. They're all pieces of shit. And you need to get that through your head. You don't trust those people. We don't work for them. We don't supposed to adhere to their needs. We are the forecasters. The politicians are supposed to be the presenters. And that's not how it's working. It's actually in reverse. And that is the problem. So yes, I called her a B. All of them are.
I'm glad, in a way, much to the chagrin of Solange and Sumatra and others, I'm perfectly happy to address this subject again. Ain't nobody hiding. Matter of fact, y'all done started something. I'm going to make it a point to do shows like this every Monday and Friday just to see who I want to check. Because I'm really, I'm at my wit's end. So now it's a question about the blackness because I spoke out against Jasmine Crockett. She accused me of not doing my homework. Griff, put the full screen of her record up there, please, because it's not into my homework, right? 40 pieces of legislation sponsored by Representative Jasmine Crockett, according to Congress.gov. Put what some of those things are up there on that full screen, Griff, please, right now. These are notable recent pieces of legislation sponsored by Representative Jasmine Crockett. The Free Speech Act of 2025. This legislation would ensure the Federal Communications Commission cannot be weaponized by any presidential administration to push partisan politics onto the American people. The Swift Vote Act establishes a $120 million federal grant program to help states procure or maintain electronic poll books that streamline voter check-ins, collect and share real-time wait time data from polling locations, and train election officials on how to use this technology effectively. The Clear ID Act. The Combating Law Enforcement Anonymity by Requiring Identification Disclosure, or Clear ID Act. The legislation would protect our communities from immigration law enforcement officers who are abusing their position of authority by prohibiting the use of taxpayer dollars to fund immigration law enforcement operations where officers hide their identity and requiring officers to clearly identify themselves, both verbally and visibly. I really, really like that one. Great job on her.
Why do you like that one, Stephen A? And so I want to highlight that Clear ID Act, because this is Migrant Wednesdays. I don't like that. The Clear ID can refer to, and actually, let me share this, what the Clear ID Act is, which it was only introduced in August of this year. It was only introduced in August of this year, and ain't gonna go nowhere. No, let's do it this way. The Clear ID can refer to the Clear ID Act 2025 proposed federal law requiring immigration enforcement officers to be clearly identified with visible and legible credentials during operations. That means when we have our ICE agents or any type of law enforcement agent that is deputized to round up and detain illegals, they want them to say, I am such and such, I work for such and such, and here are my credentials. Here you go, take a look. Now may I detain you? It don't work like that. It don't work like that. Why do our ICE agents have to identify who they are when they are detaining an illegal in this country? Someone who broke the law because they came here unauthorized, illegally. But you want the law enforcement who are there to detain them and send them back. They're not even putting them in jail. They're just sending them back to where they came from. You want them to say, hello, my name is John Smith. I work for ICE. I'm an ICE agent. I work for Homeland Security. Here's my badge and my credentials. I'm going to detain you now. But when we get pulled over by the cops, the police officers don't say, hi, my name is Officer John. Here's my credentials. I'm pulling, so I'm going to give you a ticket. No. So no, what is Stephen A talking about? So this is a good idea, Clear ID. I know the fuck it's not. ICE agents being shot at for doing their job. Bitch, you don't belong in this country. You came here illegally. You come here, you committing crimes. You taking over apartment buildings. You getting all this free shit that you ain't even pay no taxes to contribute. But you want a law enforcement officer to identify who the hell they are and who they work for?
but I can take it. But I want to get in by prohibiting the use of asked. Representative Crockett, my apology was sincere. I don't make insincere apologies. I don't have to. Not at this stage and point in my career. If I didn't mean it, I wouldn't have done it. Because what can anybody do?
The Tech Jenna says, are you serious? Due process is needed for all. All who? All American citizens get due process. But you're right. That due process is extended to illegals. That's how nice we are here in this country. We're too nice. But that does not mean that that ICE agent has to say, hi, my name is John. I work for law enforcement. I'm an ICE agent. Here's my badge and my credentials. I'm going to detain you now. No. You know who the fuck I am when I kick down the door and put the steel on your wrist. Because you know you here illegally. You know you here with no papers. Flying under the radar. Getting welfare. Not paying taxes. Committing crimes. Selling drugs. Human trafficking people in and out of this country. Or interstate. Due process my ass.
Other than complain about me. Which I get every day. If I didn't say it, if I didn't mean it, I wouldn't say it. I'm going to remind you again. 10 nieces, 4 older sisters, 2 daughters, raised by 5 women, black women, powerful, intelligent, smart, strong, take no mess, and all of them love you. I apologized for the unintended effect my comments had because I didn't mean to add substance or fodder to the president coming at you or Kamala Harris or anybody else calling y'all low IQ. You are a lawyer. You are licensed to practice law in Texas, Arkansas, and federally. My perfect world, I love you in the Senate, so you voting on these judges. Federal judiciary, where you get to pick.
All right, yada, yada, yada. I don't got time to be hearing all that. Listen, this is why, Stephen A., you should have never apologized. What are you apologizing for? She's a public official. Part of that is being able to ignore or accept criticism. That is what we're supposed to do. When you are voted by the people in office, and not only do you sit up here and fight for your district, you are voting on national issues, i.e. this bill, which is why we have a shutdown. So all of these politicians are on a block to be scrutinized, criticized, and judged. So what are you apologizing for? And this is what, because get off that black shit. But you know what that is? That is that group of elitism, boule-ism people that reach a certain status, or we all got to stick together to fight against the man type thing. But you should have never apologized, because what she did was just double down. She ain't gonna ever come on your show because she's too scared, and that's not why because she's born and paid for. That's not why she was propped in that seat. See, how about everybody go look at the history of how Jasmine Crockett got in that House seat. It was basically handed down to her from another black woman who passed away and who was not going to run again. So they put Jasmine Crockett in her place. She didn't have any type of competition. She came close once against another black woman, which was more qualified than she was. But Jasmine Crockett is actually backed by the George Soros, and all this big money, which is why you don't never hear her say anything about black policies for black Americans or anything that has to do with black people here in America. She talks about illegals and she talks about transgender, and that's it. Illegals and transgender. So I don't know if she didn't even utter anything about Israel, committing genocide against Gaza. She didn't talk about none of that. It's illegals and transgender. Because if you look at her donors, those are the people that is financially backing her, because that's their agenda. So you don't owe her no apology. She doesn't deserve one. See, that apology is for, oh, we cool, even though we never met. That's that BS. And now look, she goes on other platforms kicking your back in after you sat up here sucking on her kneecaps to apologize. But if you notice, ever since Stephen A. Smith got on Jasmine Crockett and her behavior and how she talks and how she conducts herself, she toned down on that ghetto sister girl, facade, fake facade. She toned that down. So let's move on to some more Jasmine Crockett, because I want to talk about the shutdown and I want to mention the H-1B. So this is Miss Thing today. This is her reacting to the Epstein files, because apparently the Democrats released some emails, Epstein emails, that was part of the file, but they only released the ones, I guess, that had Trump name in it, which is going to end up backfiring on the Democrats, right? So she's sitting up here, and I'm not going to play this whole thing because it's 10 minutes. This is her response to the newly released Jeffrey Epstein emails.
Because the president said that he was trying to kick Ghislaine out of Mar-a-Lago because it seems like that's where girls were being recruited from based on information that we have. But more importantly is that he was having conversation, he being Jeffrey Epstein, with Michael Wolff, who is writing this book or trying to put together this book. And in real time, as Trump is running for his first presidential run, we hear or we see that he made it clear that he believes that he has leverage over Trump. And he said that a Trump regime would basically open up, this is me paraphrasing, this is not exactly what it said, but basically it'd be a free-for-all. And as we've seen, especially in this second term, it's been a free-for-all where Trump has absolutely pardoned some folk that we know are terrible, and we are waiting on him to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. I think that that's coming up soon, too.
Yeah, an important point indeed. Congresswoman, let's take a closer look at that email from Epstein where he writes to the author Michael Wolff saying this, and it's a direct quote, redacted victim, the name was redacted, Mar-a-Lago. Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Obviously, we don't have the full context here, but I'm curious, how do you read this specific email and what it means?
Yeah, I think that it is showing that he was well aware and he was trying to cover his tracks at that point in time. And I think that that's what you saw from Jeffrey. Obviously, it'd be better if we could talk to Jeffrey today, but it was very interesting that ultimately Jeffrey Epstein died sitting in prison during Trump's administration.
Girl, what are you trying to get at with that? So are you saying, so what? So here she go again. You see how her demeanor is? She's more demure. She's more professional. She's with a monotone, a low tone voice. He's a piece of shit. He needs that. She ain't doing none of that. But what she is doing, Epstein, Trump, Epstein. When Epstein died, Trump was president. Emails, Mar-a-Lago, Epstein, Mar-a-Lago. She's creating a narrative in the media to try and connect Trump and Epstein. First of all, whether you MAGA or not, Americans do not believe that Trump was associated with Epstein, especially this not and definitely not the same way Prince Andrew was, and he's no longer Prince because he was stripped. But that is her job. She's doing her job. Jasmine Crockett is doing her job. She's doing a job that the wealthy people that backed her, that paid for that House seat that she got elected into, she's doing a job to say to paint Trump as some pedophile, to keep associating with him with Epstein. There are a whole bunch of people that was associated with Epstein. And a lot of those people probably did not know what that man was doing. If you go and you have lunch with a business person, you don't know what they do behind closed doors or their deep, nasty, dark secrets. But because I had a business lunch with you, or we were at an event together, or we took a picture together, I'm automatically associated with that person. And that's the picture she's painting. Trump was president when he was killed. Okay, so now you're saying that Trump called someone in the State Department in New York State prison systems. He called somebody there or set it up to have Jeffrey Epstein murdered. But I thought it was a suicide. What are you getting at? Is it Trump's responsibility as president to make sure that the prisons and the jail system in the state of New York are running smoothly? So what is that weak ass correlation that she's trying to make with Donald Trump and Epstein? But she's a lawyer, right? Lawyers lie. Politicians lie and lawyers lie. We should have a contest. Who lies the most? I should put a poll in the chat. Who lies the most? A politician or a lawyer? I say they're neck and neck. They're both deviant. They're both liars. They're both trying to change the narrative. They're both manipulators. And she's both. She's a politician and a lawyer. So why should we believe anything that come out her mouth?
We had on Representative Marlon Stutzman earlier. He's a Republican, and he tried to make the case that President Trump is the most investigated person in the world, and he has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing here. What do you make of that?
Listen, they will do and say anything to cover themselves. You know, I will admit that Donald Trump has been investigated more than the normal, but he just happens to be more corrupt and more criminal than any other president than we've had. I will point out he is the only president who has been convicted of 34 felony convictions that we've ever had in the Oval Office.
Those convictions, they were never proven. They were actually tossed out. So you could be convicted, but that doesn't mean you were found guilty, dumbass. And to sit up here and say he's the most corrupt or the only corrupt president, I can't listen to no more of this. Because she's full of shit. Every president that sit they ass in the Oval Office is corrupt. However, and Judge Brown said this on the Monday show, Donald Trump is really one of the most hated presidents and hated by other politicians, right? Or other political figures. And then he said, but there are two. Donald Trump is one. He said, do you know who the other president was that people couldn't stand him? Politicians couldn't stand him. I said, who? He said, Abraham Lincoln. He was hated amongst his so-called colleagues. And usually when you're trying to do the right thing, when you're trying to put a country back on track to where it belongs, you're not liked. Because majority of these politicians, they're crooks. And that means I can no longer lie, steal, and cheat because this guy is trying to do the right thing. Well, we can't have that because we want to keep doing the bad things that's going to benefit us personally. Look at Nancy Pelosi. She's going to retire at the end of this year as the wealthiest congressperson ever. How do you walk into Congress worth $200K and you walk out worth $500 million? Your salary is only $150,000 or maybe $200,000 annually. Peak. So they're all corrupt. But for her to say he's the most corrupt and convicting, yada, 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 girl, bye. I would not hire her as a lawyer. I don't, first of all, like I said, I don't believe politicians, and I damn sure don't believe nothing that come out of her mouth at all. Now, let's get to some illegals, because today, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Christina Noem says this about H-1B visas.
What is the administration's position on these visas?
No, we're going to keep using our visa programs. We're just going to make sure that they have integrity, that we're actually doing the vetting of the individuals who come into this country, that they want to be here for the right reasons, that they're not supporters of terrorists and organizations that hate America. And that's what I think is so remarkable is under the Trump administration, we've sped up our process and added integrity to the visa programs, to green cards, to all of that. But also more people are becoming naturalized under this administration than ever before. More people are becoming citizens because we're not just streamlining and building some processes back into our immigration policies. We're also making sure that these individuals that are coming into our country and get that privilege, that they actually are here for the right reasons. The Biden administration let thousands of terrorists into this country. They opened the southern border. They abused our asylum programs, abused our protective programs and visa programs, and we fixed all of it. It's remarkable what President Trump has done, and it's because he's a great leader. He's a visionary, and this man is going to go down as a legend in history as our greatest president ever.
Madam
So yeah, a lot of people will look at Trump as one of the greatest presidents ever. And there are some people who will not, but that ain't the point where I want to get to here, because remember Trump said that he was putting $100,000 HB1 visa fee, so now they're giving it a 15% discount. And then now he's going like she's doing, he's going on interviews, on a press tour saying, you know what? We actually need more H-1B visas because those are the talented people coming here to help make America great. And so she, who is Secretary of Homeland Security, is echoing the same thing, how they want to speed up the process of H-1B visas. We need more H-1B visas, speed up the process of green cards. But so here's my pros and cons with that. The pro is a lot of people who come here the right way, the legal way, because our immigration department here, federal and states, they are so disorganized, right? A lot of people wait 10 years to 20 years just to get a green card, 20 years just to become a citizen. It should not take that long. They have the paperwork to work here, to be a resident, but to get a green card is going to take a decade. To become a citizen, it'll probably take 2 decades. The process needs to be fixed. So I get it. That is a pro, that not so much speed up the process, but you want a coherent, organized process so that you're vetting these people properly, but you're not making people wait forever just to get, proper citizenship here. But the pros, H-1B visas has eliminated thousands of American citizen jobs. Yes, they have. They have replaced American citizens with foreign workers in corporate, in factories. It does not matter. That is the downfall of H-1B visas. They replace working Americans because they're cheaper. Corporations don't have to pay for their health insurance. They don't have to pay them all of the benefits that come with the salary. They're getting a fixed salary income, and that's it. So what I see from time to time with every president, not just Trump, they cater to the big corporations more than they do the American people. And that is one thing about the Constitution that I dislike, that I wish would change, is corporations should not be considered a person. Corporations are considered a person, which means they get to share the same constitutional rights as a human being. And because of such, they get favored more than us. And that is because they have more money. They have more power to buy off politicians on a state, local, and federal level so that they can get their way, whatever they want. That includes H-1B visas because they're saving money with their salaries. So a company that hires you, they're actually one person, they're actually paying twice because they're paying your salary and they're paying for your benefits. So if your salary is $60,000, they're paying an additional $15,000 for health benefits and everything else. H-1B visas, they're only paying one because they're not paying for the benefits. They're only paying their salary. And if the salary is $60,000 for American, they're going to pay that H-1B visa $45,000. So they're double dipping with the savings for the corporations. But it's bad for us because that's a job elimination for American citizen.
And
There's never going to be a country like what we have right now.
And does that
the
mean
Republicans have to talk about it, Laura.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we
a
have
country
plenty of talented people
no, you
here.
don't. No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. You know, making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing and very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say a country's coming in, going to invest $10 billion to build a plant, and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way.
So he's trying to defend the need to keep a lot of these H-1B visas. But the problem with that is, dude, if they're the only ones that could make batteries, right? Because Americans are not trained to make batteries. They made batteries from the country they came from. And now the country, whether it's Japan, a Japanese company that is here, they want to bring their people here to make the batteries because they're making the batteries over in the said country. Why are these people okay? So why did these employees not have the proper paperwork? If the company is a foreign company doing business in America and they're bringing over foreigners to work for that company, why didn't the United States provide them with the proper paperwork? Residency, work permit, green cards. These are undocumented workers, meaning they came here on their own accord illegally. And they just so happened was able to get a job with a corporation from their part of the country, from a country from the other part of the world that is doing business here, so they know how to make those products. So why didn't you make those corporations get the proper work permit, residency, or some type of legal status for them to be here? Why are these workers not being vetted? I don't care if it's a factory line or, in a Fortune 500 corporate company. You have to vet people. And they have to have the proper paperwork. And then on top of that, okay, they're the only ones that know how to make batteries, but they were working illegally for this company. Why are you not penalizing the corporations that are hiring the undocumented workers? Which is really exploiting these workers because they're getting paid pennies on the dollar. Why are you not penalizing these corporations? So you saying we need these people because they're the only ones that know how to work it, and Americans that's unemployed don't know how to make batteries. Okay, well then train them. But if you don't want to do that, at the very least, vet these people, make these companies provide the proper paperwork, and if they don't, penalize these corporations. None of that isn't happening. So with all that said, this H-1B interview conversation clip that's circling, a lot of people, especially from the MAGA base, is criticizing Donald Trump for defending H-1B visas. They're probably one positive thing you could say about H-1B visas, and everything else is really a negative for America, especially American people. But I do want to play this last clip of what Trump said about H-1Bs and H-1B visas and HBCUs, because he's a whole lot here.
You would have the
historically, the United States.
Yeah, but you would have, as you know, historically, black colleges and universities would all be out of business. You would have a system of colleges and universities.
So we're dependent on China to keep our university system going?
But I think it's good to have, I actually think it's good to have outside countries. Look, I want to be able to get along with the world.
They're not the French. They fancy
you would have the historically,
the United States.
Yeah, but you would have, as you know, historically, black colleges and universities would all be out of business. You would have a system of colleges and universities would go down the tubes.
So we're dependent on China to keep our university system going?
But I think.
So he said that if it wasn't for the H-1B visas, historical black colleges would be out of business. Are you kidding me? Show me those numbers. Show me those numbers. Are you serious? Are you telling me if it wasn't for H-1B visa students, HBCUs, historical black colleges and universities will be out of business? Historical black colleges and universities has been in business for over 100 years. But now all of a sudden, we got to rely on foreign students to keep the doors open, to keep the lights on. Nah, that sounds fishy. No. Yeah. And why are you bringing black people into this? Do he think that he was going to get favor from black voters by saying that dumb shit? I should have made this my main topic, but I didn't have enough time to write down the numbers, the data of who's enrolled in HBCUs throughout the centuries. But, honey, oh no, this is to be continued, because I'm doing a whole breakdown on that. Does HBCUs need H-1B visa students to stay open, to stay in business? Hell no. For anything, it's diluting our history. It's diluting the purpose for HBCUs. It's actually hurting HBCUs, because these HBCU visa students that go to historically black colleges, or any other university or college for that matter, when they become alumni, they don't invest money into the university, they don't give back. They're least likely to give back. They take what they came for, go back to their country, and benefit. If they build a country, if they go back to their country and build a business, they don't try to create a bridge from whether it's Ghana or Nigeria to the United States, HBCUs. They don't do that. They don't try to build a bridge. They get to go to our universities at a discount, most likely, applying for all these scholarships, get the education, and they're out. So no, I'm going to have to do a serious breakdown on that, because he done fucked up right there, honey, with that comment. First of all, MAGA is upset with the H-1B visa. Oh, now we need them. And now you got black people about to dig in his ass for saying that, oh, we will go out of business if it wasn't for H-1B visa students. You don't lost your damn mind. How many H-1 paid? Oh, honey, H-1B students don't pay cash. They don't. I'm going to have those numbers. They get scholarships. Yes, they do. They pay the same amount of cash as an American student, if not less, because they know how to work the system. Because their representative from whatever country that's supposed to be representing them here, teach them and show them how to work the system to get more money and go to school on a full ride. So I'm doing a whole breakdown. The fuck? Thank you, Everett, for the $5 super chat. And thank you again. I get your point. What if that person was out as an American citizen being profiled? No. Americans are not being profiled unless you went to some shit. Other than that, ICE know who to target. They know who to target. That's it, guys. That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Dana with the Dana. Yes. And I will see you guys. Wait, I wonder if I could do this. No, I can't. I thought I could do the circle. I guess I can't. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, everybody. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. I really appreciate you guys joining. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell button, comment in the comment section below, share this video, and I will see you guys in the next video.